There is a small paper packet sitting behind the rice jars in an old temple kitchen in southern China. It is not incense ash. It is not medicine. It is not a prayer charm. It is a plain white powder that costs less than a cup of tea in most markets, and every roach that crawls through it is already carrying its own ending back into the wall. It does not hiss from a can. It does not fill the room with a chemical cloud. It does not leave your kitchen smelling like poison. It does not need electricity, batteries, traps, blue lights, sticky boards, or a man in a uniform coming back every month with a bill in his hand. It sits there quietly, almost invisible, thinner than dust on a windowsill. And that is why it works. My name is Liang. For 31 years, I have helped care for a mountain temple where rice is stored in clay jars, tea is kept in wooden cabinets, and the kitchen fire is lit before sunrise. We feed monks, travelers, workers, and sometimes whole families who walk up the stone steps with nothing but hunger and tired feet. In a kitchen like that, if you are careless for one night, the insects know before you do. Roaches are patient. Roaches are ancient. Roaches were walking under leaves before men built cities. They do not care about your modern house, your polished counters, your expensive cabinets, or your lemon-scented spray. They care about only 4 things: darkness, warmth, water, and food small enough for you to ignore. A grain of rice behind the stove is a meal. A drop of water under the sink is a well. A cardboard box in a damp corner is an apartment building. A crack behind the cabinet is a temple gate. And once they find those things, they do not leave because you shouted, sprayed, or crushed one with your slipper. Killing one roach in the open is not pest control. That is just revenge. Real pest control happens where you cannot see. That is the first lesson the old monks taught me. The insect you see is not the problem. The place he came from is the problem. Most people fight roaches like they fight bad habits. They wait until something ugly appears in the light. Then they panic and attack the symptom. They spray the counter. They spray the floor. They spray around the sink. The room smells strong for 1 hour, and they feel powerful for 1 night. Then, 3 days later, the roach is back. Not because the spray did nothing. It may have killed the foolish ones that walked into it. But roaches do not live in the middle of your floor. They live in cracks, hinges, wall voids, drain spaces, appliance motors, and the warm darkness behind things you have not moved in years. A fog in the room cannot discipline a colony hiding behind a wall. So the old temple method is different. We do not chase roaches around the kitchen. We make the kitchen stop inviting them. Then we place the powder where their feet already travel. That powder in the modern world is called boric acid roach powder. In old market language, some people simply called it white insect powder. In temple kitchens, the younger helpers called it gate dust because it was placed only at the hidden gates, the cracks and passages where insects crossed at night. Do not confuse it with illegal insect chalk. Do not buy strange chalk from street stalls with no label and no ingredients. Do not rub mystery lines across your kitchen floor because somebody online told you it was a Chinese secret. Some of those products have dangerous pesticides inside them. That is not what I am teaching you. I am talking about a properly labeled boric acid roach powder bought from a hardware store, garden shop, or pest control shelf with instructions printed on the container. Read the label, follow the label, keep it away from children, pets, food, dishes, and open counters. If that sounds too careful, good. Carefulness is the whole reason this method has lasted. The powder is cheap. The wisdom is not. Here is why it works. A roach walks through a thin film of boric acid powder. Not a pile, not a mountain. A film so light you almost wonder if you put enough down. The powder clings to its legs and body. The roach goes back into the darkness, and because roaches are always cleaning themselves, it grooms the powder off and eats it. Once inside, the powder disrupts the insect's stomach and nervous system. It also damages the outside of the insect's body. It does not kill instantly, and that is part of the power. A spray kills fast if it touches the insect. A dust kills quietly after the insect returns home. That is why the impatient man loses. He wants to see the roach die in front of him. The old caretaker does not need to see it. He only needs the roach to carry the mistake back to the colony. But listen carefully, because this is where most people ruin the whole method. More powder does not mean more killing. More powder often means less killing. If you lay down a thick white wall of powder, the roaches will walk around it. They are not stupid. They have survived by avoiding danger. A heavy line looks wrong. A clump looks wrong. A pile looks wrong. But a thin, dry dusting in a hidden crack feels like ordinary floor grit. They cross it without thinking. That is the secret. Not the powder alone. The placement. You do not sprinkle it across the middle of the kitchen like flour. You do not dust your shelves where plates sit. You do not put it on the counter. You do not put it near pet bowls. You do not put it where a child can crawl through it with wet hands and then touch his mouth. That is not wisdom. That is laziness wearing the mask of tradition. The temple method has 5 parts. Clean the food, dry the water, find the roads, dust the roads, seal the gates. If you skip the first 2 and only use the powder, you are feeding the enemy and poisoning the road at the same time. That is foolish. A roach with unlimited crumbs and water has no reason to travel far. You want the kitchen to become poor land for him. No feast, no open water, no soft hiding places. Then the few paths left become predictable. So tonight, before you buy anything, do what we call the bowl inspection. Take a flashlight after dark, not in the afternoon, not while the sun is still coming through the window. Wait until the house is quiet. Turn off the kitchen light for 10 minutes. Let the room settle. Then come in quietly and switch on the flashlight low, close to the floor. Look under the sink. Look behind the trash can. Look along the wall behind the stove. Look at the motor space behind the refrigerator. Look inside the cabinet corners. Look near the hinges. Look around the water pipes. Look where the counter meets the wall. Look behind the microwave. Look under the toaster. Look around the coffee machine. You are not only looking for roaches, you are looking for their writing. Small black specks like pepper near cracks. Brown smears along corners, shed skins, egg cases, a sharp, oily smell in a cabinet that never seems fresh. Those are not random signs. Those are road markers. Roaches leave evidence along the places they trust. The English word is monitoring. The temple word is listening. A room tells you where it is sick if you stop making noise long enough to hear it. Once you find those places, do not start dusting yet. First, remove the feast. Take every open bag of rice, flour, sugar, cereal, lentils, noodles, and pet food and put it into sealed containers. Glass jars are best. Hard plastic with tight lids works too. A folded paper bag clipped at the top is not sealed. A cardboard box with the top pushed shut is not sealed. A plastic packet twisted one time and shoved behind a jar is not sealed. To a roach, that is not storage. That is an invitation. Wipe the shelves, not with perfume, with patience. Pull everything out. Vacuum the corners. Clean the spilled grains. Look under the shelf paper if you have it. Roaches love what humans cover and forget. Then clean the stove. Not the top where guests can see, the sides, the back, the knobs, the tray underneath, the grease line along the wall, the space where crumbs fall between the counter and the appliance. In a temple kitchen, the stove is treated like an altar because it feeds the living. If the stove is dirty, the whole room becomes dishonest. It may look clean from the door and still feed insects every night. After food, remove water. This is the part people underestimate. Roaches can live longer without food than you think, but water keeps them strong. A slow drip under the sink is not a small problem. It is a river. Condensation under pipes is not nothing. It is a drinking place. A wet sponge left in the sink is not just untidy. It is a night market. Before bed, dry the sink, wipe the counter, squeeze the sponge, and hang it where air can reach it. Do not leave pet water out overnight if you have a roach problem and can safely remove it. Fix the leak, tighten the pipe, Put a tray under the trap for one night if you must, but do not ignore water and expect powder to do all the work. Powder is not magic. Discipline is magic. Now, when the food is sealed and the water is dried, you can place the dust. You will need 4 things: a labeled boric acid roach powder, a small hand duster or squeeze bottle made for insect dust, a flashlight, and the patience not to over-apply. If you do not have a duster, some products come with an applicator tip. Use that. Do not use your bare hands. Do not make clouds of powder in the air. Wear simple gloves if the label recommends it. Avoid breathing dust. Keep your face away from the application point. This is not because the powder is a monster. It is because wise people do not inhale things made to kill insects. Start under the refrigerator, not in front where your feet touch, behind and underneath where the motor stays warm and crumbs collect. If your refrigerator has a removable kick plate, remove it. Shine the flashlight. You may see dust, hair, crumbs, old rice, a dead insect, maybe droppings. Vacuum first. Always clean before you treat. Then apply a very light film of powder deep in the void where hands, paws, and children cannot reach. If you can see a white blanket, it is too much. You want a memory of powder, not a snowfall. Next, the stove. Pull it out carefully if you can. Clean behind it. Dust along the back corners, the wall gap, the floor line behind it, and the hidden spaces underneath. Do not place powder where heat, flame, or food contact happens. You are treating the road behind the stove, not seasoning dinner. Next, under the sink. This is the great roach city in many homes. Warm pipes, moist air, darkness, tiny leaks, soap residue, trash bags, old sponges, plastic bags stuffed inside plastic bags. It is everything a roach needs to believe your house was built for him. Empty the cabinet. Throw away what you do not use. Check for leaks. Dry the wood. Then dust only the cracks, pipe entry points, back corners, and wall gaps. Not the open floor where bottles will drag through it. Not where your cleaning cloths sit. Hidden places only. Next, cabinet backs and drawer voids. Remove the bottom drawers if they slide out. Many kitchens have a hollow space behind drawers where crumbs fall and no one cleans. Dust the back corners lightly. Look for pipe holes. Look for gaps where cabinets meet walls. A roach can pass through a crack thinner than your little finger. If air can move through it, insects may use it. Next, the pantry. Do not dust near open food. Do not dust shelves where jars are handled every day. Instead, treat the hidden back edges, baseboard cracks, and wall voids. Then seal food properly. If you keep cardboard boxes, understand this clearly. Cardboard is not your friend. Roaches hide in the corrugation. They eat the glue. They lay egg cases in places you will not notice until the problem has a family tree. In our temple kitchen, dry goods never lived long in cardboard. Rice went into clay, tea into tins, dried mushrooms into jars, flour into sealed bins. The container was not decoration, it was defense. Next, the bathroom and laundry room. People think roaches belong only in kitchens. Roaches think people are naive. Bathrooms have water. Laundry rooms have warmth. Drains have darkness. Dust-hidden pipe gaps behind toilets if the label allows, under cabinets and behind washing machines. Keep it dry. If the area gets wet, boric acid can cake, and when it cakes, roaches do not pick it up the same way. Old wet dust should be cleaned and reapplied only when the area is dry. Now let me tell you where not to put it. Do not put boric acid powder on countertops. Do not put it on cutting boards. Do not put it inside drawers where forks, spoons, or chopsticks touch it. Do not put it on open shelves. Do not put it in the middle of the floor. Do not put it beside a baby's crawling area. Do not put it where a cat will walk through it and lick its paws. Do not put it where a dog will sniff and eat it. Do not put it in a fish tank room where dust can drift near water. And do not mix random powders because a stranger on the internet told you stronger is better. Stronger is not always wiser. The temple survives because everything has a place. The knife has a place. The tea has a place. The rice broom has a place. The powder has a place too, and that place is hidden, dry, and unreachable, except by the insect road. Now some people will ask, can I mix boric acid with sugar? Yes, many roach baits use boric acid with food attractants, but I am careful with this advice because a sweet poison left in the open is dangerous thinking. If you use bait, use labeled bait stations or place bait only where children and pets cannot access it. A proper bait station keeps the insecticide confined while still letting roaches feed. That is better than putting sweet powder on a plate and hoping everyone in the house respects it. Roaches do not need you to create a banquet if your placement is correct. They will walk through treated cracks because those are already their roads. The first week, do not expect silence. This method is slow. That is normal. You may see more movement at first because cleaning and sealing disturb their hiding places. You may find weak roaches in the morning. You may see one walking strangely, slow and confused. Do not panic. Watch the pattern. Put sticky traps near the areas where you saw signs, under the sink, behind the refrigerator, near the trash, beside the stove, inside the pantry corner. Number them if you are serious. Trap 1 near the fridge is not the same as trap 2 near the sink. Check them every morning for a week. The trap tells you where the pressure is coming from. A person who guesses wastes powder. A person who observes wins. After 7 days, the count should begin to fall if the problem is moderate and the source is inside your control. After 2 weeks, you should know whether you are dealing with a small kitchen problem or a building problem. And this matters. If you live in an apartment, a row house, or a building with shared walls, your kitchen may not be the only kitchen feeding them. Roaches can move between units through pipe chases, wall gaps, electrical conduits, and hallways. You may do everything correctly and still see new ones if your neighbor's wall is a roach highway. In that case, you need building-wide control, not just personal discipline. Do not let pride make you suffer. Call the landlord. Document with traps. Seal your own gaps. But understand the battlefield. The old monks were practical. If the roof leaked, they did not meditate the rain away. They fixed the roof. Now, after the powder comes sealing. This is the part that turns a temporary win into a long peace. Use caulk around pipe holes under sinks. Add door sweeps if roaches come from outside or hallways. Seal cracks where cabinets meet walls. Repair broken screens. Do not leave gaps around utility lines. Trim dense vegetation touching the house. Move wood piles, cardboard, and clutter away from walls. Keep trash sealed. Take it out before night if food scraps are inside. Outdoor roaches are different from German roaches in the kitchen, but they all respect shelter and moisture. Mulch piled thick against the house is shelter. Ivy on the wall is shelter. Damp leaves under a doorstep are shelter. A trash can without a tight lid is a restaurant with no closing time. You do not need to hate insects, you need to stop housing them. In the temple, we did not make war against every living thing. Bees came to flowers. Spiders lived in roof corners where they caught flies. Crickets sang in summer. But the kitchen had rules. Anything that carried filth through food storage had to be stopped. Compassion does not mean letting disease crawl through rice. That is another thing modern people misunderstand. Natural does not mean careless. Traditional does not mean weak. A clean temple kitchen is not clean because monks are magical. It is clean because someone sweeps when no one is watching. Every night after the last bowl is washed, the floor is swept. Not sometimes. Every night. The drain basket is emptied. The stove is wiped. Rice grains are picked up. Cloths are hung dry. Trash is closed. Water is not left standing. The kitchen goes to sleep hungry, so the roaches wake up hungry. That is when the powder does its work. A hungry roach travels farther. A traveling roach crosses treated roads. A treated roach grooms itself. And the colony begins to disappear where you cannot see. This is why I do not trust bug bombs. A fogger feels dramatic. You press a button, leave the house, and imagine victory filling every crack. But roaches do not stand in the open waiting for your performance. They hide deep. Fog often fails to reach the harborages where they breed. It can also push insects into new spaces. And when the smell fades, the eggs hatch, the cracks reopen, and the problem returns with a new lesson. The house is still feeding them. Sprays have a place in professional hands when used correctly, but for most homes, the spray becomes a habit. See a roach, spray. Smell poison, feel safe. See another roach, spray again. Month after month, the person is not solving the cause. They are renting a feeling. The temple method is cheaper, slower, and more honest. It asks something from you. It asks you to clean what you do not want to move. It asks you to look behind the stove. It asks you to throw away cardboard you were saving for no reason. It asks you to fix the leak you pretended was not serious. It asks you to stop feeding the darkness and then treat the darkness carefully. That is why people prefer sprays. Sprays let you blame the insect. This method makes you inspect the house. Now let me give you the exact weekend plan. Friday night, do the flashlight inspection. Write down where you see roaches or signs. Do not start with panic. Start with a map. Saturday morning, remove all open food from weak packaging. Put rice, flour, sugar, cereal, pet food, tea, snacks, and noodles into sealed containers. Throw away infested cardboard, vacuum shelves, cabinet corners, under appliances, and floor gaps. Saturday afternoon, fix moisture. Dry the sink, check the pipes, clean under the trash can, wash the trash bin, move clutter away from kitchen walls, remove wet cardboard, old paper bags, and unused containers. Saturday evening, apply the boric acid roach powder lightly in hidden, dry, out-of-reach places, under appliances, behind kick plates, into cracks and crevices, around pipe penetrations, along back cabinet voids, and in wall gaps where roaches travel. Use a duster. Use less than your fear tells you to use. Sunday morning, place sticky traps for monitoring. Under the sink, behind the refrigerator, near the stove, inside the pantry corner, near the bathroom pipe wall if you saw signs there. These are not the main weapon. They are your eyes. Sunday night, turn off the lights and inspect again. Then wait. Do not spray over the powder. Do not wash it away the next day because you became nervous. Do not add thick piles. Do not move everything every hour. Give the method time to work. After 1 week, check the traps and signs. If the powder got wet, clean it and reapply lightly after the area dries. If you still see heavy activity in one spot, that is not failure. That is information. Look harder there. Is there water, food, a crack, a hole around a pipe, a neighboring wall, a forgotten box? After 1 month, repeat the inspection. Not because the method failed, but because houses change. A new leak begins. A new food bag tears. A new cardboard delivery box sits too long by the door. Roach control is not one heroic day. It is a quiet routine. That is the difference between a clean house and a disciplined house. A clean house looks good when guests arrive. A disciplined house gives insects nothing after the guests leave. Now I want to say something that may save somebody embarrassment. Roaches are not always proof that you are dirty. They can arrive in grocery boxes, used appliances, storage cartons, luggage, delivery packages, and shared buildings. A clean person can get roaches, but a careless system lets them stay. So do not waste time feeling ashamed. Use that energy to close the roads. And do not wait until you see 20. 1 roach is a messenger. 2 roaches are a warning. A female with an egg case is a future you do not want. If you act early, the work is small. If you wait until they are in every cabinet, the work becomes a campaign. In the temple, we were taught to respect small signs, a single loose roof tile before the storm, a sour smell in 1 jar before the rice spoils, 1 trail of ants before the pantry is alive, 1 roach under the sink before the wall belongs to them. The modern world laughs at small signs until they become expensive. Then it calls a company. I am not against professionals. A good pest professional understands inspection, sanitation, exclusion, baiting, dusting, and follow-up. A good one will not only spray the baseboards and leave, a good one will show you the source. But many people do not need a monthly chemical performance. They need a flashlight, sealed food, dry pipes, and a $2 powder used with respect. There is nothing glamorous about it. That is why it works. No machine, no secret chant, no miracle oil, no ancient scroll hidden in a monastery wall, just an old principle. Remove what they came for, treat where they travel, close where they enter, and keep watching after the room looks clean. The powder is only one part of that principle. But it is the part people remember because it feels impossible that something so cheap and quiet can beat something so stubborn. So tonight, before you go to sleep, walk into your kitchen and look at it like a monk would. Not like an owner. Owners see what they paid for. Look like a caretaker. Caretakers see what must be protected. Look at the rice bag. Is it sealed? Look at the sink. Is it dry? Look at the trash. Is it closed? Look behind the stove. Is there food for something you never invited? Look under the sink. Is there a hidden river? Look at the wall gaps. Are there roads you never noticed? Then ask yourself a hard question. Am I fighting roaches, or am I feeding them and getting angry when they arrive? That question alone will change your kitchen. If you want to try the temple method this weekend, remember the order. Clean first, dry second, inspect third, dust fourth, seal fifth, monitor always. Use a labeled boric acid roach powder only as directed. Place it thin, dry, hidden, and out of reach. Never on food surfaces. Never where children or pets can contact it. Never as a thick pile. Never as a substitute for cleaning. And never believe the man who says one spray will fix a home that still feeds the insects every night. The roach is ancient, but it is not wise. It follows hunger. It follows water. It follows darkness. Change those three things, and the house becomes a place it cannot understand. Tell me in the comments where you live and where roaches show up first in your home, under the sink, behind the fridge, in the bathroom, near the trash, or coming from outside. I read those comments because every house tells a different story, and if you try the powder method, come back in 7 days and tell me what changed. Not after 1 hour, not after one night. 7 days. Old methods do not always shout. Sometimes they whisper, and the proof is what stops appearing. Next time, I will show you the old rice jar trick we use to keep pantry moths and ants out of stored grain without spraying a single shelf. It uses one dry leaf, one sealed lid, and a habit most modern kitchens forgot. Until then, keep your kitchen dry, your food sealed, your eyes open, and remember this. The people who lived simply were not helpless. They were observant, and observation is still the cheapest tool in the world.